Now, skipping ahead a little bit, did at some point in time did you feel confident enough to arrest Thomas O'Donnell for the murder of Michael Hardy? During investigation?
As a murder for hire investigation,
Yes.
or as the state police?
Well, at some point in time, did you collaborate with the state police to have him arrested under state charge?
Yes, there was ongoing discussions. Detective Burton and I spoke on a regular basis during the height of this investigation.
And it was decided to pursue an arrest warrant through the state of Kentucky to have Mr. O'Donnell arrested, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the plan when he was arrested to be coordinated with the arrest of Julie Hardy?
Well, shortly after obtaining these historic cell site records, I also was able to obtain what we refer to as a federal ping warrant, which shows us near real time the movement of a cell phone. I was first able to obtain a warrant for Thomas O'Donnell's registered cell phone. Later, I was able to obtain a warrant for Julie Harding's registered cell phone. On November 29th, I was able to identify that Thomas O'Donnell's registered cell phone ending in 4000 was moving from the Napa, California area east towards the direction of Julie Harding's residence. I was able to contact Special Agent John Ogden, and he assembled a surveillance team who was able to conduct surveillance of Thomas O'Donnell.
Were you given the results of that surveillance?
Yes, sir, it's in the case file.
Okay. As a result of Mr. Harding making so many trips past Julie Harding's residence, what did you decide?
You're referring to Thomas O'Donnell?
I'm sorry, that Thomas O'Donnell going past Julie Harding's residence.
Yes, it was uncertain. We could not say 100% why he appeared to do a stakeout of Julie Harding's residence. And a determination was made at that point. The state police had enough evidence to obtain an arrest warrant. We had also, through subpoena, were made aware that Thomas O'Donnell had booked a flight leaving the Sacramento airport on December 8th, 2022. It would be traveling to Dallas, Texas. I had drafted a premise search warrant for Julie Harding's residence in Sacramento, California, which gave the FBI the authority to seize electronic devices. I also had a search warrant of Thomas O'Donnell's person to be able to seize any electronic devices that he had on his person and collect a bugle swab so we could have a DNA sample. I also had a warrant prepared to search Thomas O'Donnell's Toyota Tundra. So on December 8th, I coordinated with the Sacramento field office, and they had connections at the Sacramento airport and worked with the local authorities to put Thomas O'Donnell in custody.
Okay. So when he was arrested, what did you do? Did you execute those search warrants for the electronic devices?
Yes, sir. There were several things I was coordinating on December 8th, 2022. One was the search of Julie Harding's residence in Sacramento. I was not there, but I was coordinating an FBI team to go conduct that search. We also identified the location of Thomas O'Donnell's Toyota Tundra, and the FBI secured that truck. And we had, based on the location of the truck, it was technically in the Northern District of California, so a new warrant was obtained. My original warrant was out of the Eastern District of California, but that truck was secured. In addition, we were made aware that Julie Harding had been arrested in Tennessee, I believe on a trespassing related warrant, and I was coordinating with special agents out of the Bowling Green, Kentucky office. They traveled, I believe it was in Clay County, Tennessee, and they attempted an interview of Julie Harding on December 8th, 2022. They also seized her 2 cell phones on that day, and a warrant was obtained the next day to search those phones.
Okay. And we'll get back to her phones later. But now you were present at the Sacramento airport when Thomas O'Donnell was arrested.
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And did you execute the warrants as far as taking a bugle swab from him?
Yes, sir, I did.
And was part of the stuff that was turned over to lab, was it?
Yes, sir, I sent that to the FBI lab.
Okay. And you also, did you confiscate any electronic devices?
Yes, sir. Thomas O'Donnell had several electronic devices, either on his person or in a bag that he carried.
Okay. Was one of them a laptop?
Yes, sir.
And how was that?
I believe it was a work laptop that belonged.
The brand, do you recall what it was?
Sorry, it was a Nova laptop.
Okay. And that was seized by you taking into custody?
Yes, sir.
Now, you participated in the interview with Thomas O'Donnell.
Yes, I did.
And after the interview, he was arrested, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I guess my question to you was, when you obtained all these search warrants and planned on arresting Thomas O'Donnell, what was your plans? Were you trying to coordinate that with an arrest of Julie Harding or question her at that time?
We were hoping that she would be willing to conduct an interview. Essentially, we were trying to interview Thomas O'Donnell and Julie Harding near simultaneous. Julie Harding was made aware that an arrest had been made regarding the murder of Michael Harding.
And did she grant an interview with FBI?
She requested counsel and did not get any.
And you all, but you did seize her phones?
Yes, sir.
Now, one other thing, did you and Detective Burton travel to California at any time and search Mr. O'Donnell's work truck or work vehicle?
Yes, sir. We had conducted surveillance of Thomas O'Donnell the morning of December 8th, 2022, and also watching the pings of his registered cell phone. And we realized that he had driven a work vehicle. I might mispronounce the company, I believe it's that was the vehicle he brought to the airport. And ultimately, Detective Burton and I went to located that company and conducted an interview and obtained consent to search that company vehicle.
Okay. And did you find any notes or anything in that vehicle?
Yes, sir. We did find on a piece of white paper in large letters a note.
As you can identify that document.
Yes, sir. I recognize that.
Is that the document that was taken out of Mr. O'Donnell's work vehicle?
Yes.
And that was on what day?
December 8th, 2022.
Your Honor, I'd ask that they almost next exhibit the judge exercise. Now, you knew Julie Harding's whereabouts at the time Thomas O'Donnell was arrested?
Yes.
Approximately.
Yes.
And where was she staying at that time on December 8th, 2022?
She was in Tennessee.
And would that have been at her, I guess, the residence that her and Michael Harding owned?
I believe so.
Now, when I ask you about Julie Harding's phone, are you familiar with that number?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
Should I look at my notes real
Yes,
quick?
go
I think
ahead.
I have the number committed to memory. The phone number is in 5816.
Okay. And was that phone seized that utilized that phone number?
Yes, it was.
And what happened to that phone after it was seized?
Once that phone was seized, the phone went to the Nashville, the FBI office. At the time, it was called the Nashville RA. Today, it's called the Nashville Field Office. And ultimately, that phone had been locked, and a technique called break key was used to eventually extract that cell phone.
Okay. And was that extraction data tendered to you?
Yes.
And did you go through that data?
Yes, I did.
And what did you learn about Julie Harding's cell phone that was seized?
What I learned was that according to the Cellbrite report, the software report of the extraction, on September 26, 2022, which was the day Michael Harding's body was found at 3619 Glasgow Road, Burkesville, Kentucky, the phone had a factory reset.
Okay. And a factory reset does what to the phone?
It wipes the phone.
Wipes it. No data whatsoever.
All the data that was on the phone was been wiped.
And it's impossible to know what was transacted on that phone prior to that time. Is that correct?
I do not, I would not know.
Your Honor, I'd ask that this cell right record on what's next to it.
Objection, so ordered.
Now, you specified earlier that you seized Mr. O'Donnell's laptop at the Sacramento airport. That's
Yes, sir.
correct. And what did you do with that laptop after the seize?
That laptop first went to the Sacramento FBI field office, and the title is called CART. Basically, the FBI special agent who has specialized in training and extraction of electronic devices began to process that laptop so that an extraction would be made available for me to review.
Okay, and did you get that extraction from Mr. O'Donnell's laptop?
Yes, sir.
And what did you learn from examining that extraction?
Of note, conducting a search of that laptop, I was able to determine that on the morning of September 19th, 2022, the day of the murder of Michael Harding, that laptop had conducted a search of 3619 Glasgow Road, Burkesville, Kentucky, the location of the murder, and that the laptop was connected to the Quality Inn Hotel located in Brooksville, Tennessee.
Did he stay at that night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. From the 18th to the 19th?
Yes, sir.
And that extraction, was it in a report, or did you generate a report called Magnet Forensics?
I generated a report with that title, Magnet.
I'll ask you if this is a copy of that report.
Yes, sir.
And on what page does it show that he conducted the Google search? In the Google search, I might have misspoke.
I do see google.com, realtor.com, Zillow.com.
Okay. And it's got searches on there for the 3619 Glasgow Road search.
Yes, sir.
And what pages are those searches on?
It starts on page 4.
Page 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you want to approach before I show you the Now, you generated this report, didn't you, Agent Thompson?
Yes, sir.
And based on your knowledge and training, were you able to determine how many times Mr. O'Donnell searched that address on the 19th? Or is that something that a specialist would testify about?
I don't know if this is the complete list, but I believe the specialist did verify. This has 64 records.
Okay. Okay,
Let me proceed with a general explanation of his investigation, subject validation by expert.
after you generated that report, was this information forwarded to anyone else in the FBI? This extraction, I should say.
Yes, I had forwarded this to a specialist named Aaron Kiger, who works at the RCFL, but is an FBI employee.
And is he an expert in these extractions and what they mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, at some point in time, there was a 45 Rock Island handgun taken from Thomas O'Donnell's truck. You were aware of that, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And also Hornady ammunition,
Yes, sir.
and you remember who searched the truck and got that?
Rebecca Wills from the Sacramento Field Office was the lead evidence ERT person.
Okay. And was that evidence turned over to you at some point in time?
That evidence was shipped to the Louisville Field Office evidence room.
And prior to this trial, what did you do with that evidence?
Some of the evidence that we needed for trial, I relinquished some of that evidence to the state police for the trial.
So did you relinquish that Rock Island handgun and the Hornady ammunition to the state police?
Yes, sir.
And it was that to Detective Burke?
Yes, sir.
I don't have anything else, but I have any question. I'll say that I would not ask. You'd be subject to recall.
Instruction required from the defense.
Yes, no. Good afternoon. So Agent Johnson, you testified that you were initially investigating this case as a murder for hire, correct?
Yes.
That was a federal investigation that ended up being discontinued, correct?
Yes.
And when you were investigating this case, you were specifically looking for evidence of some kind of agreement between Julie Harding and Thomas O'Donnell, correct?
I disagree with that. First, I was involved with the collection of evidence that a murder had occurred, and I was also interested or needed to show that there was some type of payment made to substantiate the murder for hire.
Okay, and you never found evidence of a payment between Julie Harding and Thomas O'Donnell, correct?
That's correct. I knew Julie Harding had access to large sums of cash, over $200,000, and we had a financial investigation into Thomas O'Donnell, and we knew that he had some financial ownership, but I was not able to make the connection that Julie had in fact paid Thomas O'Donnell.
And you never identified any communications, in terms of visual communications, pertaining to an agreement between Julie and Tom for Tom to kill Michael Harding, correct?
That's correct.
And the communications, the contacts between Julie and Tom, those didn't start in September of 2022, correct?
It started, to our knowledge, on July 1st, 2022.
Okay, so they went months back before Michael Harding's death, correct?
Yes.
And these weren't, as you testified, these weren't isolated one-time communications, right?
They were extensive communications.
And are you aware, as part of your investigation, that there were witnesses who described their relationship as personal, right?
Pardon?
That there were witnesses who characterized their relationship as personal in nature.
Can you be more descriptive, which witness you're referring to that I would have interviewed?
For instance, that Mr. O'Donnell's sister described Julie and Tom being close friends. Do you remember that from reviewing the reports in this case?
Who drafted that report? I did not interview Julie Harding's sister.
So you're not aware that Mr. O'Donnell's sister described the nature of their relationship as personal?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Okay. And that other witnesses, like Ben Hawkins, described that.
Objection.
So in terms of a murder for hire, you obtained no specific evidence that Mr. O'Donnell was holding himself out to be some kind of hitman for a woman, correct?
Correct.
In fact, he was working at a touring company called Zotex around the time of these events, correct?
Yes, I don't know when his employment, I don't remember when his employment started there, but as of December 8th, yes.
And you were tagged on the forensic reports involved in this case as a part of your investigation, correct?
The forensic reports were placed in my investigative case file.
And Mr. O'Donnell's fingerprints were not identified inside the small house of the crime scene where Michael's body was found, correct?
Specifically, the fingerprints?
Yes.
Correct.
There was no DNA evidence placing Tom inside the small house of the crime scene, correct?
Objection.
Let me ask that question again. To your knowledge, there was no DNA evidence placing Tom inside the small house at the crime scene. Is that correct?
Correct.
And there was no murder weapon forensically tied to Tom, correct?
That is correct.
And you're aware that a shell casing was found next to Michael Harding's body in the small house, right?
Yes.
And it's fair to say that casing would have been ejected from the shooter's firearm.
Yes.
And no fingerprints from Tom were found on that casing, correct?
Correct.
And Tom's DNA was not found on that casing, to your knowledge.
Correct.
And Michael Harding's DNA was not found anywhere in Tom's truck, correct?
Correct.
Michael Harding's fingerprints were not found on any items in Tom's truck.
Correct.
Michael Harding's fingerprints were not found on any items in Thomas O'Donnell's residence.
Correct.
You didn't find any shell casings in Thomas O'Donnell's residence, right?
Correct.
No shell casings identified in his truck,
Shell casings inside Thomas O'Donnell's truck.
right?
I believe there was cartridges found inside Thomas O'Donnell's truck.
But no spent shell casings, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
And you mentioned that when you arrested Thomas O'Donnell, he had several cellular devices on him, right?
Correct.
But none of those were identified to be the prepaid device associated with this case.
Correct. We did not find a prepaid cell phone.
And so there was no prepaid phone found at his residence either, right?
Correct.
Now, I want to talk about November for a second. So, you mentioned that Tom was observed near Julie Harding's residence, trying to make contact with her on November 29th, correct?
Yes, I coordinated with the Sacramento Bill Office FBI agent who conducted that surveillance.
And to your knowledge, in November 2022, Julie Harding was in Tennessee, right?
Correct, to my knowledge.
And you don't know, and she's at the Harding residence in Tennessee at certain points.
To my knowledge.
And you don't know who she's with at that time in Salina, correct?
Correct.
She's not there with Tom, right?
Correct.
So she's at Michael Harding's residence in Salina after his death. So she has access to the property, right?
Yes, I believe both of their names from that house.
And there were assorted spent shell casings found in a can during the search of his home, right? Would it refresh your recollection if you reviewed that report?
Maybe.
Commissioner Cooper,
Shouldn't come well.
I think this has previously been admitted. And Agent Johnson, this has previously been admitted. If you have a copy, or I can show you mine.
Is there an FBI serial number?
No, I think this is the request for examination.
Yes, this is the request for examination.
You can tell me what date it was submitted.
Would you like to see my copy? So, and Agent Johnson, looking at that copy of that report, do you recognize that?
I do recognize this document was drafted by my colleague that I had cooperated with.
And your name is on it as well, correct?
Correct, as a cooperator.
And assorted spent shell casings were collected from a can during the search of Michael Harding's residence, correct?
Yes, see if my colleague sees that.
Go ahead. Thank you. And to your knowledge, those items, those shell casings were not submitted for testing, to your knowledge.
To my knowledge,
Okay. But they were in the possession of the FBI.
based on that report, yes.
And another thing you did was you reviewed Julie Harding's popular contacts, correct?
Are you asking based on cell phone records? Or
You reviewed a report regarding Julie Harding's popular calls. Do
Okay.
you recall that?
Did the FBI do that or the state police?
It looks like the FBI did it, and your name's on it if you'd like to look at this report.
Could I see that, please?
Judge Manford.
Sure.
And Agent Johnson, I just handed you a report regarding Julie Harding's popular contacts, correct?
Yes, this was drafted by a colleague in the law office.
And you were identified on that report as well, correct?
Yes, I was CC'd on this report.
And that's a report regarding the primary phone that she was using at the time of the offense, right?
Yes, it would have been from the analysis of the cell phone number, whatever period of records that would have been.
Okay,
in terms of the provider.
and Tom is listed as one of her popular contacts, right?
Yes,
And then another popular contact listed is a man by the name of Todd, correct?
yes,
So in that report, there are about 38 calls listed for Tom, 21 calls listed for Todd Lynn, correct?
yes.
And I'm gonna ask the approach before I ask this next question. So we're talking about Todd Lynn, one of Julie Harding's popular contacts, correct?
Yes.
And in that report, it's documented that Todd Lynn was involved in possible money laundering, correct?
Ladies and gentlemen, you shall disregard the word document. Okay. Go ahead.
Agent Johnson, it's stated in that report that Todd Lynn was involved in possible money laundering, correct?
Yes, it does.
And Todd Lynn was never interviewed by the FBI, correct?
That's my knowledge.
And to your knowledge, he was never interviewed by the Kentucky State Police.
That's my knowledge.
So his phone was never collected, to your knowledge?
No, just to be clear, we're not able to seize people's cell phones. We have to have probable cause and a warrant to do that.
Okay, a search warrant was not executed for his phone, correct? Now, I want to move on and discuss the box of ammunition that was located in Tom's truck. So this is the Hornady critical defense ammunition. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, and to be clear, I did not participate in that search. I wrote the warrant, drafted the affidavit, swore the warrant out, but I was not part of that search team.
Okay. Is that the kind of ammunition that's generally available to the public to purchase?
I don't know. I don't.
And are you aware, based on what you reviewed in your investigation, that that box was full?
I can look at the evidence collection log again. I'm not the one that collected that evidence item.
That's fine, I'll move on to that. And the Kentucky State Police collected DNA swabs from inside Randall Harding's truck, correct?
Yes.
And those swabs were transferred to the FBI, right?
Yes.
And you were directly involved in submitting those items for lab testing,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
I think you testified on direct that you completed the FBI request for laboratory examination form, right?
Yes.
And that form determines how testing is done at the lab, right?
Correct.
And that form gives you an option regarding DNA consumption, correct?
Let's come up here.